Today in Real Life Archives, the biggest poker scandal ever.
Today, we're stepping into the shadows to unravel one of the most polarizing, deeply atmospheric mysteries to ever hit the modern poker world. We're going to look at the tightly wound enigma of a player named Mike Postle. For a very specific window of time, on a live-streamed poker broadcast out of Stone's Gambling Hall in Citrus Heights, California, Postle was doing things that, well, they simply defied the fundamental logic of the game. Our goal here isn't to play judge and jury. We're going to look directly at the source material. We're looking at the raw data, the heavy allegations, and the vehement, unwavering defenses, just to understand exactly what happened in that casino. We are going to explore a story built on staggering statistics, obsessive internet sleuths, and a narrative that completely fractured the gambling community right down the middle. I want you to just sit with this number for a moment. 94%. In the notoriously brutal, highly volatile world of no-limit Texas Hold'em, a game completely governed by high variance, bad beats, and unpredictable mathematical swings, Mike Postle was allegedly winning at a frequency of 94%. Specifically, the data compiled by observers out there indicated he walked away a winner in 62 out of 69 recorded sessions. To put that into perspective for you, even the absolute greatest poker professionals on earth fully expect to have losing sessions. It's built into the math. A win rate like this, it's something the poker community had quite literally never seen on a live stream before. It's a statistical monument, and it immediately sparked a very heavy mix of deep suspicion and intense awe. Let's look at the scale of this. Over the course of 277 hours of play, Postle accumulated an estimated $253,300 in pure profit. Now, notice the hourly rate this translates to. We're talking about roughly $914 an hour. And remember, he wasn't sitting in on some massive high-stakes game in a private Vegas room. He was playing low-stakes $1, $3, and $5 games at Stone's Gambling Hall. Earning nearly $1,000 an hour at those specific stakes is mathematically staggering. For a player who is widely known to play a very high-variance, extremely loose style, literally playing almost half the hands he was dealt, this graph of pure upward profit was either the single greatest run of cards in human history, or it was something else entirely. Which brings us right to the very core of what we're analyzing today. Cheater or lucky? Are we looking at a deeply sophisticated, entirely unseen technological scam, something executed so perfectly that it happened right under the noses of casino management and thousands of viewers on Twitch? Or was it just an unfathomable, legendary run of luck, perfectly combined with a player who just happened to have the greatest intuitive read on his opponents ever caught on camera? As I mentioned, we're not taking a side here. We are just going to methodically look at the evidence presented by both camps and trace exactly how this incredible story unfolded. Section 1. The statistical anomaly. We really have to start with the cold, hard data. You see, the allegations against Postle weren't initially rooted in catching him red-handed with a device. They were rooted in the sheer, overwhelming statistical improbability of his success. The numbers themselves became the primary witness. With 62 winning sessions against only 7 losing ones, critics came out arguing that in the realm of professional poker, game theory optimal strategies dictate that you simply cannot win this consistently against random runouts. Even if you push all in with the absolute best hand every single time, the mechanics of luck dictate you're still going to lose around 20% of the time. And yet Postle's record was just this near solid, impenetrable block of green. Observers pointed out that this kind of win frequency exists so far beyond the normal distribution curve, it breaks the chart. That exact sentiment was crystallized perfectly by Maurice MacBerstanding. He's the attorney who headed up the eventual lawsuit against Postle on behalf of several plaintiffs. I want to just let these words hang in the air for a second. He said, "He is either exponentially superhuman in a way that none of us will ever see again, or there is a cheat." The lawsuit deliberately framed his gameplay as fundamentally beyond the realm of human capability. According to the plaintiffs driving this case, the statistics weren't just weird, they were the absolute bedrock proof that Postle had unauthorized access to hidden information during those broadcast games. Section 2. Anatomy of suspicious hands. Now, data only gives us the macro view, right? To truly understand why this captivated the internet so intensely, we have to shift our focus away from the broad statistics and zoom right down to the actual felt of the card table.
We need to examine the specific, highly scrutinized hands that set off the loudest alarms. The crucial point for the accusers was always how he played his cards when the absolute maximum pressure was on. Let's look at what is often referred to as the moneymaker hand. According to forensic breakdowns in the source material, Postle was holding a 5-4 offsuit. The action gets wild, the pot swells to thousands of dollars. Postle hits a straight, sounds great, right? But the board also presents the real possibility of a flush. Facing massive aggression from an opponent who, unbeknownst to anyone but the viewers, actually held that hidden flush, Postle made what many consider to be an impossible fold. For a guy who notoriously calls with marginal hands all day, laying down a straight right there was mind-boggling. Now, we absolutely must note that sources defending Postle push back on this hard. They point out that other players had actually previously folded some of Postle's outs earlier in this exact hand, arguing his play was actually mathematically justifiable if you were tracking the flow of the game.
The tension in that room during these types of plays, it was palpable. It was thick enough that it actually started bleeding directly into the commentary booth. During another hand, regular player and commentator Veronica Brill, who would of course eventually become the primary whistleblower in this whole saga, voiced her profound suspicion live on the stream. After watching Postle make yet another eerily perfect decision, she just leaned into the microphone and softly said, "It's like he knows. It just doesn't make sense." That chilling, quiet realization, broadcast live to the entire world, really marked the true beginning of the public unraveling of Mike Postle's winning streak. The exact hand that prompted that haunting quote from Brill is widely known as the Marl hand. In this one, Postle was holding Queen-Jack offsuit against a well-known poker vlogger, Marl Cordero. The flop comes down and gives Postle top pair, a very strong position, but Marl hits the absolute best hand possible, a Queen-10, giving her the unbeatable nut straight. Postle, sitting there holding top pair, which is normally a hand he'd aggressively, almost relentlessly defend, simply checks and folds to Marl's bet. He folded exactly when he was definitively beaten, saving himself from taking a massive loss. To his accusers, this was the smoking gun, absolute proof of illicit knowledge. But to his defenders, they looked at the same tape and saw a masterclass. They called it a brilliant, unparalleled read of his opponent's specific betting behavior.
Section 3. The Internet Sleuths. Once Veronica Brill officially went public with her allegations, this story didn't just grow, it exploded. It births a totally unprecedented phenomenon where the global poker community, heavily led by figures like podcaster Joe Ingram, practically transformed overnight into a massive crowdsourced team of armchair detectives. They completely took the investigation into their own hands. They began building this meticulous, sprawling timeline. They traced his play all the way from the moneymaker hand back in January. They noted a very bizarre physical posture change that happened in July, flagged the Marcel hand in September, and drew a straight line right up to the massive public outcry and formal lawsuit in October. This wasn't just some fleeting toxic internet rumor. It was a highly organized chronological mapping of months of broadcast data. And I really need to emphasize the sheer scale of this crowdsourced investigation because it cannot be overstated. We are talking about hundreds of hours of Twitch and YouTube broadcast footage, analyzed, literally, frame by frame. The sleuths deep in the 2+2 forums and the true crime corners of YouTube weren't even looking at the cards anymore. They were scrutinizing his eye movements, his subtle physical tics, the exact placement of his hands under the table. It evolved into this obsessive, deeply atmospheric hunt for physical tells that might somehow betray a hidden mechanism.
Section 4. The technological theories. All of this intense visual scrutiny naturally led everyone to the next major question. If he actually is cheating, how exactly is he pulling it off? This brings us to the technological hypotheses. Because the Stones Live game utilized RFID, that's radio frequency identification technology, inside the actual playing cards to broadcast the hands to the viewers at home, the internet sleuths zeroed in entirely on how that specific data could theoretically be intercepted. Investigators pointed to 3 specific vulnerabilities. First, general inherent flaws in the RFID transmission itself. Second, an IT professional on Reddit theorized that if the casino's Wi-Fi access point or router used default unpatched passwords, a hacker sitting right there could easily hijack the stream data. And third, investigative sources pointed out a supposed test feature hidden in the broadcasting software itself, which allegedly could allow someone to quietly view the whole cards without being detected by the main production system. But here's the thing. Having access to the data somewhere on a server is only half the crime. You have to actually receive it while sitting at the poker table, surrounded by people, without anyone noticing. And this is where the sleuths paused the tapes and asked one simple question. Where was he looking? They noticed a highly unusual, almost constant downward line of sight.
While the other players were actively looking at the board, eyeing the dealer, or staring each other down, Postle's eyes were frequently, rapidly darting down to his lap or the dark edge of the table. This observation alone spawned a myriad of wild theories about his physical setup. The most prominent theory was that he simply had a smartphone concealed down in his lap or tucked under the table rail, receiving real-time text or image data of the opponent's cards. Another theory zoomed in on his baseball cap. Viewers noted an unnaturally bent brim that seemed deliberately designed to block the peripheral vision of the players sitting right next to him, effectively hiding his downward gaze in shadow. Some even went so far as to theorize that a strange bulge in his hat was actually a bone conduction earpiece, silently feeding him audio signals of the hands. To really see just how deeply down the rabbit hole this community went, consider a highly specific behavioral shift noted by one of the lead investigators. They claimed that before July 18th, Postle naturally played with his chips stacked directly in front of him. But after the specific date, he allegedly shifted his entire chip stack over to the left. By doing this, he used his arms to create a physical barrier, allowing him to check his cards and look down at his lap, entirely hidden from the players sitting immediately beside him. To the accusers, this wasn't just a random habit change. It was a documented evolution in his cheating methodology.
Section 5. The unresolved aftermath.
Despite the absolute avalanche of crowdsourced evidence, the formal lawsuit, and the intense global media attention, the Mike Postle affair eventually dissolved into conflicting narratives and heavy legal stalemates. Throughout all of it, Mike Postle maintained a steadfast, completely unwavering defense. "I am blessed with good instincts," he claimed. He vehemently denied all the allegations, arguing that his 16 years grinding as a professional player, combined with his deep, lifelong study of human behavior, allowed him to make those incredible reads. He framed his gameplay not as the result of some dirty, illicit technology, but as the absolute pinnacle of human intuition and psychological profiling at a poker table. And officially, he was actually vindicated by the venue itself. Stone's Gambling Hall conducted its own internal and external investigations into the matter. Their official stance to the public was clear. They stated they found zero evidence of cheating by Mike Postle, or by any of their production employees. As far as the casino management was concerned, the case was closed. Furthermore, the narrative built by the accusers certainly did not go unchallenged by the media. Sources like Rounder magazine aggressively disputed the underlying data used against Postle. They reported that the highly touted statistical analysis, the one claiming he was winning at that crazy 94% clip, was deeply flawed, or perhaps even entirely fabricated. They pushed back hard against what they called a salacious conspiracy theory that was driven by internet content creators chasing clicks rather than actual facts. They argued the poker community was suffering from a severe, massive case of confirmation bias. So when you step back, why does this specific story matter so much? Historically speaking, poker has seen far bigger financial scandals. Look at the Ultimate Bet super user scandal. That involved corporate executives stealing over $20 million. The allegations against Postle amount to roughly $250,000. Yet the Postle saga captivated the internet far, far more intensely. Why? Because it wasn't just some hidden code buried on a back-end server. It was deeply visual. It played out on camera, in real time, right in front of us. It invited everyone sitting at home to become a detective, to analyze the psychology, the nervous sweat, and the dark shadows of a live human being under pressure. And so we are left staring into the dark of the casino floor, quietly weighing two very extreme realities. On one hand, you have a mathematically impossible run executed by a man hiding a phone in his lap, exploiting a technical flaw in a highly sophisticated modern heist. On the other hand, you have the terrifying prospect that a single player simply operated on a psychological wavelength so far above his peers that his pure intuition looked completely indistinguishable from magic. So, was it an elaborate, high-tech scam, or was it the greatest, most ruthless intuition ever caught on camera? I leave the evidence to you.
This is just one story. There are many more you wouldn't believe. Subscribe for the next one.